Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
So sorry about that. It made me like update Zoom the second I went to.
No, it's fine. I thought you forgot about me. I was like, oh,
No, 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 not at
okay.
all.
All right, cool. Um, I have a very good friend. My best friend actually is Rob Caggiano. And I was raving about you over the weekend on the phone. And he was like, who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Because I told him I went up to see Billy.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, he's an impressive dude. So that's cool.
That's
So,
kind.
yeah. So this is you actually may know his buddy who I just had on the show also, Eddie Wool.
Don't know if I know it. Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's WOHL. He's an
Oh yeah,
LA guy.
I've
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I was reading your bio and you have something in common actually. It's Kara.
Yeah. Diaguardi.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think he started with her. She was like one of the first people I think that he got her involved in stuff. I think probably like 30 something years ago here, like in this part of New York, like New Rochelle, where she grew
Oh
up.
wow.
And he was from, yeah, so if you go back over and listen to his interview, he talks extensively about her actually in the interview
Oh, very
because
cool.
she still records in the studio where my audio engineer works in Bronxville. That's where I live in Bronxville. I don't know if you know this area, Westchester County. It's just north of New York City.
Yeah, not too well, but a little bit.
Okay. Are you in New York or you're
I'm in
where?
Toronto.
Oh, wow. All right. Okay. So you're like an hour behind me, probably, right?
Same time, Eastern time.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. So this is just so you know, this is BBS radio.
Okay.
The radio show is going to be audio, but I also, as a bonus, take the Zoom and I cut up the clips and I
Okay.
use the clips on social media. I have a large platform on Instagram and I have a public relations group that promotes me. I'm a professional psychic medium and I'm also a retired Army colonel.
Oh wow.
So whatever I do, they promote. So the radio show is top on their list. So yeah, I have tonight. I think Scarhaven is actually airing. They're a fairly new band, but yeah. So it's fun. So I do the clips. I tag you. I'll also tag the fell. This is a fun interview. You can do as much promotion. You can talk about whatever you want. It's really all based on you and your career. So you can, talk about whatever you want. If there's anything that's crazy, like I always warn people, if you drop, the F bomb, I'm going to cut it out.
Okay.
And everyone promises me, and then I get 400 F bombs, and I'm like, okay, they're all coming out.
Try very, very
But
hard.
yeah, so it's a very casual conversation. I wanted my format is really promoting your music, okay? So I have all the music from that you sent me. We can talk about a song throughout the interview, and then I'll say my audio engineer will drop it in, and
Okay.
then he'll literally drop it in. So you get to hear the songs as the show is played live. It'll pre-record live. So what songs do you want to be played in what order? I've had 3 songs played and I've had 4 songs played. If you feel that you have a lot to talk about your history, like a lot of younger guys that haven't done a lot, they pick 4 songs because they want to eat up the time with the music. Then,
Right.
but you've got a long, you've been at this for a while. So, do you want to play certain? The last song will be played last, meaning that that's the last thing the listener hears.
Okay.
So you may want that to be a song you really want to promote. So I have Kill Switch, Footprints, Glass Floor, Trippin', and Face Out.
Okay. I think maybe end with Kill Switch. Um,
Okay, all right,
that's the
good.
name of the EP, and Footprints was a single, so we could do that, and maybe Trippin'.
Okay, so do you want to do 3?
Yeah,
So
three.
number 1 would be Footprints.
That sounds good.
Okay, good. And number 2 is Glass Floor.
No, number two
Oh,
is Trippin'.
Tripping. Okay, good. All right, perfect. Very good. Okay. All right, good. And the format of my show, there's just the intro. The voiceover work is done by Brian Carney. His father was the famous Art Carney from the Honeymooners.
Oh wow,
Yeah, do you remember that or you're too young?
not that young, not that young, but yeah.
I always tell people, and sometimes I get this distant stare from guys in the UK, like, okay. Very good. All right. So I'm going to read just for your beginning part. The first paragraph is a little long. Do you want me to just read the first sentence that says you're a guitar player, multi-platinum producer, and all that? Or do you want me to go all the way to like that you're in the 1% of producers?
Oh, whatever you feel. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Some people are particular, so I just want to make it the best for you. Okay, good. So in the meanwhile, I'm just going to mute you.
Okay.
This is Bringing the Darkness to the Light with Catherine Nadal, professional psychic medium.
Today's guest is Mike Krompass. He is a guitar player, multi-platinum producer, songwriter, mixer, engineer, multi-instrumentalist, and music executive with expansive career, spinning chart-topping Billboard hits, millions of albums sold, global streaming successes, and a high-profile sync placements across film, television, and advertising, with a close to billion streams, over 17 billion views on his catalog. Mike stands in the top 1% of producers and songwriters worldwide. It is a pleasure to have you on, Mike.
Oh man, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I had the pleasure of meeting you in person. Just recently, probably less than a month ago, I went up to upstate New York to a town called Liverpool, and I saw you in the band The Fell, which has my very good friend Billy Sheehan in it, and many other people went to see you guys. I was shocked when I walked in. I was like, wow, this is a cool showing. It was the first day of your tour, and I'm a fan already. I mean, I love every song. I actually went to the merch table. I bought the vinyl. I got the signed vinyl, and it comes with a CD. So that's like a bonus. But the band together works so well. I mean, the lead singer, Toby, he's like on fire, running around back and forth, and it's just to me so exciting because this music for me hits so well. It's different. Every time I start telling people about it, they're like, well, what does it sound like? I'm like, you got to hear it. I'm like, I can't describe it. I'm like, it's just, especially my favorite song is Footprints, but I can just play it on repeat. And that's when you know you have something really good. It's like, I don't want to turn it off. I just play it in the background all the time. So again, welcome to the show. You have to tell me all about you. I mean, your bio is so impressive, but I want to hear it straight from you. So tell me about your life, how you got involved in music.
Oh man, I mean, there's so much to tell, but and I hate talking about myself. I'm not a big fan of like trying to talk about my accolades and stuff. But that being said, I started really young. I started playing guitar when I was 4 years old, and that was, ever since being a little guy, that's all I've really wanted to do. It was like I remember seeing like, Michael Jackson on my mom's shoulders, like 1980 something Victory Tour, and seeing Jennifer Batten rip it up on stage and going, I need to do that. But I really wanted to do that in Michael Jackson's band. But anyway, fast forward, here I am now. But yeah, I think, I grew up playing copy tunes in bars. I, played in funk bands, disco bands, metal bands, progressive rock stuff. And I always loved all music. I wanted to do everything and anything I could. I just wanted to surround myself in music. So anything that I could be a part of, I really tried hard to do that. And the same goes for the studio. I always wanted to immerse myself and learn about drum sounds and learn how to record things. And I think all of that stuff led to where I am now. I even worked in music stores teaching guitar and I worked in a drum shop where I got to learn how to tune drums and be around amazing drummers. So I picked up a lot of things and learned things from a lot of inspiring people over the years. Yeah, so I just kind of worked my way up. I was born in Toronto. I grew up in Toronto, Canada. At a very young age, I moved to Los Angeles and I tried to pursue my rock star dreams of, moving to LA and being a big rock star. And that didn't really work out the way that I wanted it to. But when I got to LA, I started doing a lot of film and TV and writing, production stuff. And then I moved on to producing records, and I produced and wrote songs for a lot of American idols and pop stars and different, country stuff, rock stuff, everything. I tried to just not be a one trick guy and tried to do something with every style and every genre. And because I love all styles too, I never wanted to just limit myself to that one thing. And then just played with whoever I could. I wrote songs with whoever I could. I've immersed myself in every little aspect of the music business to try to make things better for myself. And then I did 20 something years in LA, and I got a place in Nashville, and I started doing that stuff and focusing on, the Nashville songwriting. There's so many great songwriters there, and I met some really great, inspiring people there and learned a lot there, and did the back and forth LA Nashville for years. And then I decided I had wanted a break, and I moved to the UK for 5 or 6 years, and here I am back in Toronto, Canada right now. So it's been like around the globe.
So interesting. I know. I want to start out when you just said that you started playing when you were 4. It sounds like your parents were, very supportive of you, bringing you to a concert at young ages. Were they musical? Some musicians find the music in the family. Some others they're the only ones. So what is that for you?
Yeah, I mean, my nana, she was musical. She used to sing for the troops, and so I probably picked up some DNA there. But my mom wasn't really musical. My real father, who had passed away, always wanted to play guitar, but he wasn't a musician. But he had the passion. My mom remarried, and then my stepdad, who I call my dad now, he wasn't musical either. He was an accountant. So both my parents were accountants and bookkeepers, um, and then my parents got divorced. She ended up being with someone who was a drummer, who was a massive influence on me. And that's kind of where I really immersed myself in learning drums and learning music. And his best friend was a guitar player who ended up years later marrying my mother. So it's a crazy story, but yeah. And I learned so much from him. So his name was Al, who was a really great guitar teacher and taught me, most of what I know now just by being around music. And even though I'm primarily a guitar player, I play drums too. And I did play on the Fell album, and most of the records I produce, I do play drums on. But I kind of developed my guitar style from learning drums and from rhythmic aspects. So you'll hear a lot of my guitar playing is very percussive, and I think it comes from the drum influence a lot.
Very similar to Billy Sheehan. He talks a lot about that, that he's very connected with drummers when he plays in a band, and that he collaborates with the drummer in the band the way he plays. He spoke about it in his interview with me, and you're saying very similar. So you must get along really well with him and the band The Fell, because it sounds like the two of you are on the same page with that.
Yeah, and I think, that's the drums are the foundation of anything, especially in rock music. Like having that solid, back line is really, really important. And I think that gives you the feeling and makes you dig in and all of those kind of things. So I'm super influenced by drummers. And come on, drums sound amazing anyway. The louder the drums are, the better I play. That's for sure.
Yes, I want to ask you, since you were young in LA, what were the bands that you really followed that, that really lit a fire under you that you thought, okay, I could totally see myself doing something like that?
I mean, it's so all over the map. It's everything from like funk and R&B stuff to P-Funk to Earth, Wind and Fire to hair metal. I loved Extreme. I loved Mr. Big. I loved George Lynch and Dokken and Dio and all, all of that. I even like Poison and like, hair bands and the Beatles. Michael Jackson is a big influence. Prince was a big influence. Stevie Wonder is one of my biggest influences. So um, I think I'm a melting pot stylistically from all of those kind of things. And my parents were their listening tastes were pretty diverse. My dad was like, stoner rock and Black Sabbath, and my mom was Beatles and disco. So, I got to listen to a lot of variety growing up, and I think I absorbed all that.
All sides of music. Very cool. So when you went to LA, it's kind of interesting because we have so many people that listen to the show. When you got there, what did you really expect it to be like? Did you think you were going to get an easy break, or did you really feel like, because a lot of times people look at LA like, that's the destination. Is there any advice? I know you did it, probably more than 20 years ago, but it's still on the horizon for a lot of young musicians.
I don't think I ever thought it was going to be easy. I just thought that there would be more opportunity than in Toronto because when I left Toronto, I was playing with a pretty big pop act. I was playing with Nelly Furtado, and we were touring the world with U2 and got to play with Elton John and lots of cool things. But I felt like I was hitting a ceiling all the time as far as like, session work and songwriting. And that was a different time. And now everything's on internet. You can really do anything over Zoom and be anywhere. But back then it was like all my friends were, you got to move to LA. You got to move to LA. That's where it's at. And the truth is, when I moved there, that's when the doors opened up. But it wasn't easy. I didn't think it was going to be easy. I was dead broke when I moved there, and all I wanted to do was just go and see music and be around it. And however, I didn't have a plan. I didn't really have a plan. Um, and I just kind of got in wherever I could, worked with whoever I could, and it laid every door, opened another door, and I just didn't give up. So anyone who's thinking of doing that, just do it. If your gut's saying to do it, do it. It's worth a shot.
Exactly. I have family that's musicians in Nashville, and the scene is quite different than LA. So, what was your experience when you started to go over to Nashville?
When I went on my first writing trip, it was very country. Like, and I was producing a lot of pop stuff at the time, so pop wasn't super infused into country at that time, and it was just starting. Like Rascal Flatts and Keith Urban were starting to implement pop, and Carrie Underwood was breaking, and so I think it was a good time for me to go there because they were starting to do programming, and I was a little bit different than everyone else that was kind of coming into the Nashville scene at the time. Um, that there was a hybrid thing starting to happen, and I think I just got lucky with a couple good co-writes that utilized that kind of production style. But it was still pretty country, and it was still a different world than what I was used to. But I mean, as a living place, it was great. The housing's affordable. The scene was expanding. There's so many amazing writers there too. It's incredible how many great songwriters are there. And now it seems like Billy's moved to Nashville. All the rock guys from LA are now living in Nashville, so it's kind of it's the new LA, I guess. Everyone from New York and everyone from LA that's kind of in that circle is there now.
So true. And it has such a history of music, just with their Grand Ole Opry and, the whole scene. Like Elvis is, it's like the past is alive there, And that's the piece of it that I think attracts an audience. The fans of music often visit that area for the history of music. So you always have an audience when you're there,
Yeah.
which is a second plus.
Yeah, and it seems they appreciate the songwriters too. Because a lot of times in pop music, it's about the star, it's about the artist, and which is great. But Nashville has a real appreciation for where the song came from and the writers. And you go down Music Row and you see this number one song written by these people. And normally you wouldn't know who wrote what song. You'd think of, okay, that's a Celine Dion song. That's Celine Dion. You wouldn't think about who wrote that song. And I think that's a really cool thing because they nurture the culture and they nurture the talent, and that's one thing that not a lot of other places do, that I think is really an amazing thing.
Absolutely. So you have to tell me how the fell got together, how this creation came together, because I just love it. I love how you're all different and you're all together, and it's just amazing. So how did the idea come about?
So initially, I was working on a bunch of projects, and I was a bit sick of doing that kind of same thing all the time. And I like my soul from an artist, guitar player standpoint was like I was missing doing my own thing, my own creating songs for myself and just for the love of music. Because when you start doing it for a job or for other artists, you kind of lose the reason you get into it in the first place, and that's for the passion that you have for yourself. So I would write songs and keep them for myself, but then you forget about them, and they don't really do anything. They just sit on a hard drive. So I thought, you know what, I really want to put a focus into whether it be a solo project or a collaborative effort with a bunch of musicians. I want to do something that's completely different than what I was doing. Go back to my rock roots. Not be afraid to play guitar solos because guitar solos were not cool at the time. And just do something that was for me. And if it was successful, great. If it's not, who cares? It was just, let's put some great songs together. So naturally, I thought, okay, if I was going to do a rock project, who would I want to play bass? Well, duh, Billy Sheehan. Like, Mr. Big was a massive influence. Steve Vai, Paul Gilbert, all those guys were heroes of mine. So I'm like, well, if you could have the best, why don't you have the best? So I sent him a message on Facebook, and surprisingly, he said, "Yeah, man, we'll get together tomorrow. Come by." He comes by my studio, and I play. So I had some like instrumental things kind of worked out, and I play him a bit of the first song, and I'm maybe 30 seconds in or something, and he stops me, and he goes, "What do you want to do with this?" And I'm like, "Oh, damn, he hates this. This is like he's not into this." He's like, "You want to start a band?" I'm like, "Yep, I do." He's like, "Well," it was like, "I could pay you to play on this, or what do you want to do?" And he's like, "Start a band." So I was working separately with Toby Rand on it. I'm doing a bunch of writing, and working with some of the guys from In Excess. And Toby's an incredible talent. He's an incredible singer, front person, an amazing songwriter. And we were working on some stuff, and I just thought, why don't we bridge those things together? And the cool thing about Toby is he brings a modern element to it too. He brings like a really different approach. It's almost like a 90s rock approach with, a little bit of Muse, a little bit of this, but it has throwback stuff to all the stuff we grew up on. But he's got a lot of swag and like that rock star persona, almost like a Michael Hutchins vibe a little bit. Like, so I thought, man, this would be really cool. And that's kind of how it started. So we wrote a bunch of songs. And Kill Switch and Footprints and Trippin', those songs were like the first little batch that we wrote. And unfortunately, we had to park the project for like 9 years because Toby got caught up in a deal that his management wouldn't let him proceed with the Fell. So we did try to go play some shows, but it was never the same. And that core band of Billy, Toby, and I, that was the magic, and it never was the same. No matter how much amazing talent we worked with other people, it just wasn't the same as what it started with. And I think the three of us missed that, and then just everyone kind of seemed to come back together and say, that stuff's really good. We really missed that. Let's finish it off. And Billy was wrapping up with, Sons of Apollo wasn't touring, Winery Dogs was winding down, Mr. Big wasn't going to go tour anymore. Like, wow, this timing couldn't be any better. So that's what happened, and here we are, and we revisited the songs, got the stuff together pretty quickly, and released an EP. And now we're deep into the album, like recording the album, very close to having a full length album ready for release this year. So yeah, and here we are.
Yes, it's so exciting. And it's so exciting for me to speak with you because I got to meet you all in person. And the event was terrific because you had a kind of like a VIP hour before the venue really opened to the event. And we got to meet all of you, up close and personal. And you're right, Toby has this persona off stage that matches his on stage. He's full of like energy. He reminded me a lot of like David Lee Roth. And when I was watching him
Yeah.
on stage, he was like running from left to right and then up through the center and then back again. And, really, really, it was eye catching, which was really great. But all of you were great. And I thought it was quite interesting because you're right. When in between the songs, Toby would say something like, just a couple of things to like, engage with the audience. And one of the things he's like, oh, we're going to wait for him to change his guitar again. You must have had like 12 different guitars that night. They were
I
like all
had way
different
too many.
colors. Yeah, but you had a pink one and you had all different ones. And I was like, wow, but to me, for someone who's not a musician, it was like it drew our attention to you, like, wow, he's special for this reason and, all of that, it's kind of
That's the secret.
interesting.
That's what I do. I just bring enough guitars so people that are shiny and sparkly, and then people look at them. No, it was like, you know what, that's funny. They all busted my balls about it too. Like, why do you need so many guitars? And the main reason is because every song was in a different tuning. So we didn't have a lot of pre-production time to use pitch down pedals and things like that. So it was just easier to grab the guitars and then just leave them in those tunings and then have it redundant in them. So, next time I won't go out with as many, but they were all like, Billy went with one bass. And he's incredible because he had learned everything in that one tuning and relearned a lot of things that would be very difficult in some of those tunings. I wouldn't have the patience for that. Like, what he did was really crazy, crazy cool. But yeah, no, I couldn't scale it down to one instrument, unfortunately.
Wow. Well, I really loved it. And so tell me about Footprints, because we're going to discuss Footprints, how the song came about, how it makes you feel, and then we're going to play it for the audience.
So Footprints was one of the very first songs. I'm not sure that it was the first with Toby, but one of the very early songs. And we wanted to have like a mainstream radio kind of song, and have a big hook. And it came out really fast. The chorus, I think, was written first, and then we wrote the verse around it. And the cool thing about that song, it was the first single that we ever released way back. And we went to Poland. Billy, Toby, and I went to Poland to shoot in this bunker. So if you look at the video, we actually took the original old video and synced it to the new version of the song, and we took clips from that and some clips from the Killswitch video and put them together to release a new video. But there's shots that we did in this World War II biohazard Polish bunker that was like, we got there were armed guards, it was pretty scary. And it was freezing, and that's kind of the cool story about that song, is we were able to keep the really original things that we came out with back then in the original video. And the video is super unique in the fact that that's a real bunker that's not staged, it's not a film set. It was like scary. There was like biohazard things everywhere, and yeah.
So how does the video fit the lyrics?
um I mean, that's a good question. I don't think it does really. The director guy wanted to throw a bunch of girls dancing around in it, and we kind of just, it was one of those things where we let him go with it, and it wasn't exactly what we wanted to do, but we just, we're on this tight budget, we're gonna go with this, and we made it work. But I don't know that it really. He had this thing that he wanted to do something with, like, make it like the Shallow Hal nurses or whatever, and like these creepy women chasing us, and it didn't really translate that way. So when you watch the video, you're like, oh, maybe that's it, but there's not really a straight storyline in it. And we switched it with a lot of performance shots to get away from kind of like that cliche rock band girls in the video Motley Crue style, which I love, but it's not really a now thing. So
I
yeah.
get it. Wow. Well, it's one of my favorite songs on your new EP. So we're going to play Footprints now. So this is where my audio engineer will drop it in. Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right. Very cool. Wow. It's so interesting though, because when I listen to all of your music, one song sounds very different than the other, but it still gives me the same feeling, like I just want more. So can you tell me more about the other songs, like for instance, Tripping?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a cohesiveness. They all have, sonically it comes from the same place. The hooks might be influenced. Like the thing about Trippin' I like it, Toby came up with a really cool chorus melody in that song that kind of reminds me of that band Faith No More and Mike Patton. Sometimes I think he has hints of that in that song, and I'm a big fan of that band. So when he kind of blurted out some of that melodic sense in there, I really dug it. And I think the songs they're all very different because they're written at different times and we have different influences. But there's a thing that kind of brings it together sonically. The drum sounds are very similar, the guitar sounds are really big. Um, so we try to keep like it authentic to what the fell sounds like, but not afraid to go out on a limb and try things and experiment with different melodic approaches. And I think at the end of the day, we want to be able to play any of these songs on an acoustic guitar and them translate as a song. So even if you stripped out all the crazy, wanky guitar parts and bass parts and all the fanciness, they're just basic songs that have a verse, chorus, and a middle section. And we wanted to keep it more about the songs and the melody and having Toby's voice be the focal point. Because a lot of the stuff, especially with Billy, a lot of the stuff is very music centric and very guitar driven. We want a bit of that, but I think it's more about the song than it is the show off factor. Not that that's not cool because I love that, and sometimes I try to sneak it in as much as I can and get away with. But yeah,
Very good. Wow. So we are going to play Trippin' now. So this is where my engineer will be dropping it in. Very good. Before we move on to another song, I wanted to go back to when you spoke earlier about your background, being a songwriter, but also being what I would call as a music producer. Your experience is so vast. So how do you feel? Which pieces of those do you feel that kind of help you along the way? Because producing really is helpful being a musician, but also, like you have all of those components. It's probably so much easier for you to have been able to play all of those parts in your career.
I think it definitely makes it more cost effective, not having to go out and hire a producer and rent a studio. So when you're making records, you can do it in a different way. You can almost produce it as it's going along rather than have to go into months of pre-pro and rehearsing the songs. And a lot of the stuff we just do in the studio, like as you can see behind me, like my drum kit's right outside the window there, and I'll get an idea, lay down the guitars, go out and cut the drums real quick, and I can come in and play some bass parts. So send it to Billy, he'll record his stuff, send it back. Toby will come here, sing the vocal, and it makes the process a lot quicker. Also, just having those things like mic'd up and ready to go too. We know what it's going to sound like almost right away. There's no it's not really a demo phase. The demos are very, they're the sketch of the song, and then we just start recording. So, for that aspect, it makes it really quick and painless almost. And with this project, I'm trying not to, even though I'm like, I try to separate myself as a producer and part of the band. I'm trying not to be overproducing this stuff and try to let it breathe. And I've noticed as we're doing more and more songs, I'm taking less, the guitar layers are coming a little bit less, and we're trying to have it less like overproduced. Because we want it to still at the end of the day be a rock band and be able to go out live and pull it off, because a lot of new rock, there's so many layers, it's hard to get that, you need 10 guitar players to go play it live. So
Yes, that's a good point, and people expect to hear the live sound exactly like the recording. And that's why it's so good when the band comes out tight. You're hearing exactly what you expected to hear, which is really important. One thing that I had heard when you were playing on stage with the Fell, there was a conversation about the position of the drummer. So was the drummer not always the drummer, or I think they kind of introduced the drummer So is he a new drummer to the band? I couldn't figure out the way they were.
Oh yeah, Toby's like trying to throw him under the bus. No, Nick's been in the band. So basically, when we started the record, um, initially it was a guy named Randy Cook, who's a big session guy and an amazing drummer, amazing friend, and he played on some of the initial things. So the early demos, I played drums on them. And then Randy replaced some of that stuff, and we never really got to properly release it. So when we revisited all the songs, I ended up recutting the drums um, on a lot of that stuff because we hadn't gotten Nick in the band yet. So, or some of the songs had already been recorded to a certain part, we just left my drums on. And then Nick, about a year ago, when we started, getting knee deep into recording the rest of the record, he joined as a band member. So he's on some of the songs. I'm on quite a bit of the songs as a drummer on the record. So yeah, he is the newest addition, but he's very much a part of the band now,
He
and he's an
too.
incredible
He's
drummer. Like he's one of my favorite drummers, and he's an incredible guy and just a good person to hang with and be around. And
he's also Canadian. Is that correct?
he is, he
Wow.
is.
So you have three of you that are Canadian in the band, except for Billy. Is that correct?
Just two. So the
Oh,
keyboard player is
two.
a hired guy. He's so it's half and half. So really, of the band members, um, Billy's from the U.S. Toby's actually Australian, so he doesn't count at all. Toby's Australian. I'm Canadian, and Nick's Canadian.
And the keyboardist you had mentioned, he was off to the side on
Yeah. So
stage.
Scott, he's been around since the early days, and he's an assistant that worked with me in the studio that played on a lot of the recordings all the way through from day one. So, um, yeah, and he's a really important part to the project too. He's a great player and a great guy.
Yeah, it's so neat. I am so glad that I saw you live. Just, it really changes the experience for me now. I don't know if fans have ever said that, but sometimes when you just hear music and then you see the band play live, sometimes it stays the same, but with the Fell, it made it better to see the live performance. It really, so tell me about the tour schedule. What is the plan for the Fell?
I mean, we'd love to be doing everything. So we just picked up a really great agent overseas. We're going to do a bunch of festival dates and some club shows overseas starting in November. We really want to get some North American dates. This first run, the one that you saw, that was our like first show. That was kind of like the warm up run, like test the waters, see how the songs go over. Kind of, we didn't expect we're gonna sell out venues. Like not a lot of people know about the band yet, so we need to get the word out there and do shows, and we want people to kind of pay attention and start getting the numbers up because these days it's a numbers game, and if you're not selling enough units or you're not getting enough streams, agents don't want to touch you. So this was a good test for us to kind of see how we're going to start it off, what we're going to make better, how we're going to get things out there, and that's kind of now we have an idea of what we want to do. But really, we all want to put our focus into this project and make sure that it does well and at least busy. We all love to play. Billy says something like, "It's like I live to play and play to live." He says something I've heard him say it a million times, but it's true. Like we all have that passion and fire, and this is a project we all truly believe in and we really want to do something with. And not everyone has to love it, but we do. So
Yes, well, I love it, and I will help promote you the best I can because I am probably your new number one fan. But it's interesting, though. We're gonna roll out with the song "Kill Switch." But before we do that, I want to hear about the song. Tell me about how that song. That one to me really sounds so completely different than Footprints, which is my favorite. So it's kind of interesting when you play it. You're like, oh, there it is again, because I play it on. So tell me about that one.
so Kill Switch, I mean, I think the whole thing started off with this really cool bass riff. The whole thing was written around this bass riff that drives the verses. Um, and then same as Footprints, we wanted to have a very like it's almost like a '90s throwback kind of melody. It's like a bit alternative rock, but then in the middle section it goes to like something that a band like Mr. Big would do. Like there's unison guitar bass lines, some cool arpeggio fun guitar things, and so it has those elements of throwback that we wanted to have it in there. And then the choruses are just it's just hard rock. It's just really fun rock. And there was never, we didn't try to do anything. It was just like whatever came out, and that's what it ended up being, kind of thing. Um, but I get it. Yeah, it's a little bit more complex than Footprints because we have the middle section and we get to like do some guitar wank a little bit, and it's a bit self-indulgent and fun. But it's still, form wise, we try to keep a little bit of pop sensibilities in there.
Yes, I love that. So personally, just for you, outside of the fell, do you have items on your bucket list still that you would look at in your music career and say, I really hope I get to do this, or I really want to do this in the future? What does that look for you as a solo?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing when you're an artist, like you always want something more. At least I do anyway. It's like it's never enough. I need more. I need to do more. And I'd love to have a Grammy one day. And for whatever that means, like to some people it doesn't mean anything, but that's like a something I've always aspired to do. Whether, and I don't really, it's not like I have to have it, but I would really love to have that. It's a recognition thing, and it's something that I've always wanted to have, a Grammy. It's like, who doesn't want one? I, I, I want to do everything. I want to do jazz records. I want to do country records. I'd love to have a hit in the charts again, like, because, music's like this. You can have really highs and really low lows, and you want to try to stay relevant, and you want to try to stay on top and have success that lasts a long time. And it's really hard to do that because there's always someone younger, better, you know, new artists coming out every day. But I want to try to keep that freshness and try to stay on top of things. And then, like, my wife and I, we own a record label, so our focus a lot is on that. We represent one of the biggest sync catalogs in the world with extreme music. So we have like Snoop Dogg and Hans Zimmer, and we license all of that exclusively for Canada. And then with that, we have a reciprocal deal where we sign artists to our label and then distribute it out for film and TV around the world and retain our commercial rights, which we distribute through Sony Music. So, that's a big focus for me. Is like really, sometimes I want to step back from just like, chasing productions, create music that I want to create with people I want to create it with, and then put some focus into our label and really make that a success.
Yes, in your bio, it says that you're the CEO of Noise Nation X, Noise Nation Records, and BCMG Recordings.
Yep. So that's our company. So BCMG is the parent company, and then we have, we do distribution for artists, producers, labels. Under that, we have Noise Nation Records, and we have like some legacy bands like Honeymoon Suite. It's a Canadian rock band they're on our label, and that's one of the records I produced or we did two of their albums over the last few years. So that's like a passion fun project that I got to do with those guys. And then we have like pop acts, we have rock acts, we have a lot of different things that we put out on that. And then Noise Nation X is our sync. So that's where Noise Nation X is where we represent the entire extreme music Sony ATV production music library. And that's the stuff like we do. Our clients are like Netflix and Disney, and we do video games and feature films and commercials and TV. And that's where we license music from the Extreme catalog, which is a very successful catalog with some really unbelievable artists. There's Quincy Jones, there's George Martin catalog, there's Dead Mouse, Snoop Dogg, Death Row Records. Like, it's incredible talent that we get to work and solicit that to Canada and get in film and TV. And hopefully with that, it grows we're growing our own catalog to add to that catalog of Canadian content that we're going to be streaming out to those same resources around the world.
Well, this is fascinating. I mean, just to think how far we've come, with our own population, the way music is being viewed, like music in movies now. there's so much accessibility to it with a company like yours, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Music is available everywhere, like everywhere you can find music. It's the thing is that I guess the challenge is making it like someone said this to me, and I'm paraphrasing it, but someone once said to me, music's like water. Water is free. You can find it anywhere. But if you package it right and it's in the nice Voss bottle and it's all fancy, people are willing to pay 10, $20 for a bottle of water. So I think it's finding a way to get that music out there that has its own footprint and that has its own, you know, marketability factor, whether that's with the artist, whether that's a way that a non-traditional way to market that song, whether it's through a video game or whether it's through place in a motion picture or something that gives it legs that are beyond the traditional streaming and radio thing. Because it's very hard as an artist to just get songs out there on the radio these days. There's so much content out there, and then if you are successful enough to get songs out there, to get it to place and to get regular rotation and all those things, and to come to the top of a Spotify playlist up against One Republic or whoever's at the top of the charts is very difficult these days. So you got to do something that's outside the box, and I think film and TV give it a good springboard to
Yes.
to kind of get heard on a bigger level.
You make such good points with that because I may be dating myself, but it just proves that when someone hears a song that was tied to a movie, they don't just think of the song, they think of the movie. A perfect example is like Survivor with Eye of the Tiger,
Yeah, totally.
with Rocky. I mean, literally that song like went booming, the movie was booming. I mean, and even now, many years later, I could still see the video of like Rocky Balboa running on the beach, right? That was like an iconic scene with him running on the beach. So that's so important. I wanted to give you the opportunity to plug any social media, any websites, because we want everyone to be able to visit you and to find all of the things that you're doing.
So you can go to for the Fell. The Fell Music is our Instagram handle, the Fell Music, and I think we're the same on Facebook. And then for myself, you can go at Mike K Hits, MikeKehitz is my Instagram, and it's my Krompass, I think, or Mike K Music on Facebook. And then you can find us noisenationx.com, noisenationrecords.com. Those are websites you can send us a message. And if you're an artist that has music to send it over. We'll listen to it too.
That is so great. Wow. It has been a pleasure. And I hope to see more of you in the future and hear more from the Fell and from your own personal work. We are going to roll out with the Kill Switch by the Fell. Thank you again, Mike K. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks a million. Thanks so much.
Okay, good. So we recorded 41 minutes, which is good. That's going to be edited, but we're also going to add, 3 songs. Sometimes at the end, if we have extra time, we'll roll the last song twice.
Okay.
This way it extends the play. Wow, very impressive. Very impressive. So I'll tell you when you're going to air. It's going to be in May. And I'll tell you your air date, and then I'll tag you to everything. Where's my calendar? I know, it was kind of interesting. I just recently interviewed Vinny Appice.
Oh, he's amazing.
Oh my God, hilarious. Let me tell you, he gave me a session on how to pronounce his last name because he's got this thing with his brother. There's like a whole long story that he wouldn't tell me, but he's Vinny Appice and his brother is Carmen Appice. So he went back and forth with me. Say it again. I felt like it was back in the army. I was like, oh my God. I was like, all right, I'll say it right. I hope
Those
I
guys are
pronounced
both
your
incredible.
name. Oh my God, the stories. Wait till you hear that interview. The stories that he tells between Ozzy and oh my God, the stories are hilarious. He just keeps going. I'm like, oh, so plug your social media. He's like, hunk.com. He's going like that. I'm like, what? He's hilarious. Oh my God.
That's
Too
funny.
funny.
I would love to know more about your psychic stuff. I'm
Oh,
like
yeah. So they've been
great for that.
doing a lot of filming of me. If you go to my Instagram page, there's a California producer that filmed, I think, what did I do? A ghost in the basement with his nephew. His nephew is one of the top TikTok guys. Like, there's only 20 guys on TikTok that have gotten like 1 million followers, and his nephew is one of them. So I
Wow.
had to evaluate the nephew for the ghost and all that. And then I'm known for reading coffee, Italian and Turkish coffee.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, so at Christmas time, the guy came in from California to visit family and he wanted Italian and Turkish coffee reading. So we went to a cafe and he filmed it. It's on Instagram. I can send it to you. It's like really funny because the guy is like, he's trying to get clicks. So he's like, I think I see a Batman in this cup. And he's being like really wacky. And then there's another guy. I should probably introduce you to him. I don't know if you know him. His name is Mike Schiff. He's made 3 movies, but one movie that he made is called The History of Metal and Horror. And he interviewed 65 guys. Half of them were horror, half of them were heavy metal. So he's got Alice Cooper in there and Rob Zombie.
I was
And
gonna say Rob Zombie
oh
for
my
sure.
God, it's amazing. That the movie that he made is amazing. And so Rob Caggiano, my best friend, happened to be on the panel because he had guys in the movie that were anthrax. So Rob was anthrax. And so afterwards, Rob introduced me to him and he's like, she's a psychic. And he's like, really? He's like, tell me about you. And I said, well, I read coffee and I talk with the dead and I do this. He's like, I think we need to make something together. So I'm like, yeah, right. I've heard this before. So then, like a couple of months later, he emailed me and he said, could you come out to my house in Long Island? Bring you a coffee maker. My wife wants to see this coffee reading. And I said, okay. So I went out to their house, set up the coffee, and his wife was blown away. I mean, they literally had me walking around their house. They had me doing all sorts of
Oh
stuff. And I was
wow.
like, okay. So he said, I want to film something. So he contacted AC Slade. AC was in the Misfits. He
Yeah.
owns a coffee shop in New Jersey. So he's like, okay, we're going to film in the coffee shop.
Cool.
So, yeah, so we just wrapped up filming and I guess he's going to try to shop it. But he put me on a plane. He sent me out to like, I think Pittsburgh or somewhere. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because his show, I don't know who I'm going to walk in on. They could be a music person or they can be a horror person. I just don't know until I open that door. And really wild.
You could use your psychic abilities and maybe guess, right?
No, it actually doesn't work that way. Anything that's related to me, that's why a lot of my friends were like, how come you didn't know the guy was a jerk? Couldn't you see it? I'm like, no, I can't see anything for my life. I could see yours, but I can't see mine. But yeah, everybody's a skeptic and whatever. But the
So
show is very interesting. Yeah.
I'd love to pick your brain sometime. Like,
Yeah, sure. Let me know. I mean, even if you sent me a question, sometimes people do that. They'll just send me a question. The person that like loves me that I just met at NAM and he ended up doing my show, he was like blown away. Giancarlo, do you know him? Giancarlo. I'm blanking on his last name, Giancarlo. I'll tell you in a second, but he writes all the music for Frontiers Records.
okay, yeah, yeah.
So he does all the Lynch Mob records. So when I was talking to him, he happened to be really good friends with Johnny Lane. And he was like, oh my God, I got to tell you the story. And it's in the interview. He's like, oh my God, because, Johnny passed away. He
Yeah.
had a couple of supernatural experiences that had to do with the wife, then it had to do with Johnny, then it had to do with both of them. And, it's just incredible. And a lot of his story, a lot of his songwriting comes from like stories and like things that have happened to him and stuff like that. So he actually wrote a song for Johnny. I guess the Johnny Lane's people had asked him to write a song. and it was kind of like, he was friends with the guy,
Yeah.
You remember that. I'm probably older than you, but I'm sure you remember
Oh
Jenny
yeah, I
Lane.
remember that. He was like, I remember seeing him, my accountant in Woodland Hills, like way back. I think like they were dating or something because I remember walking in there and him sitting in the front lobby, and he was like
Oh,
actually like working in the accountant's office, like sitting there. And
oh, wow.
Danny Lane, like what? She's
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, yeah,
that's wild. Yeah,
there all the
that's
time.
very wild.
But that was right before he passed, like probably weeks before he passed. I saw him.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah. So Giancarlo says, oh, wow, it's just so heavy, It's just a lot of like stuff that happens to people and how they used to be. And he was very strong in that interview to say that he was younger than Janny. And I guess Giancarlo's younger than me, but he made it a point to say that when he would hang out with him at the whiskey, he never said, come drink with me or come drug with me. It was always just hang out with me or let me tell you about my music or whatever. He was not an influencer. And Giancarlo made it such a point in that interview because some people are, that's how people get addicted and they get pulled
Yeah.
into but he was not. He felt that his experience with Johnny was that when Johnny wanted to do that, he would go do it alone. And you don't often hear people explain that, if someone is an addict or a drug, into drugs, drinking, they do it with other people. They want the company. But this
Yeah.
one did it by himself. Yeah.
Yeah, that is very different. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but it's also that to me is also like a very big sign of someone who deals with depression, because they don't want people to think that they're failing themselves.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, you should send me your mailing address. I'll mail you my books. I wrote
Okay.
2 books.
Yeah.
One of the forward that was written in my first book, the coffee book, was 2 twins. They're now passed away, but they were very good friends with the guys in Sabotage. That's how I know Chris Caffrey, and they were good friends with Paul Stanley. But they also struggled with drugs and alcohol, and they legally changed their name to Rockstar and Superstar, and they went around to children in schools and taught them, with their guitars to not, get involved. And unfortunately, now they're both passed.
Oh,
But
that's sad.
their mission is amazing. And if you go to my website, their video is implanted in my website, and it's Serenity. And Chris Caffrey actually helped them write that song. And it talks about, like, trying to struggle, but all the pictures of them when they were here in New York on the Intrepid and posing with NYPD and pictures with Paul Stanley. And yeah, it's just really
I'm gonna go
amazing.
check that out for sure.
Yeah, it's great. I'll send it to you. But mail me your mailing address. I promoted the Fell right after, but I kept a lot of the stuff. Like I kept a video of a Billy playing, and so I keep putting it up. But I really love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you definitely have something there.
Oh, thanks. I'm sending you this right now.
Okay, good.
Okay.
When you were a little boy, did you have a dog?
No, I didn't.
When you were mentioning your dad that is now passed away, when you said that, I kept seeing a dog next to him.
I didn't have a dog.
So,
We didn't have a
so
pet.
was he a dog person?
I'd have to ask my mom, but I know we didn't have one, and they didn't have one. Um,
Was
yeah,
he like a big animal lover or something?
not that I know of. I could ask.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. And I was just yeah. So wonder if there's someone else that. So I've lost a couple people who really were
Yeah.
close people to me, very young. So my dad passed away when I was just a baby. My mom was only 23. He was 28.
Oh, wow.
And then so my mom got remarried. And then after that, she was with someone who I mentioned in the interview. His
Yeah.
name was Blair. I call him my stepdad. He was very influential, but he died of the same cancer my dad died of.
Oh, wow.
That was
Did he
about,
have a dog?
never had a dog. Maybe he
That's
did
so
before,
wild.
but
Yeah,
not.
I would look into the dog thing because I kept seeing a dog when you said your dad. So when you said your dad, I didn't know if that meant your real dad or your stepdad.
Yeah, I'll look into that. Yeah,
Wow, it's amazing.
yeah.
So the cancer that they had, was it a rare cancer?
Well, it's one that's more treatable now. Is Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So both of them got the same cancer.
That's amazing because you don't often hear that.
Hmm.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
odd.
very, very strange. And they both kind of grew up in the same area. So,
Oh, that's interesting. So is there a known exposure in that area? I'll give you an example. My sister lives in Long Island, and that section, that town, had a lot of, I don't know, radio, something to do with Gorman. It had to do with like they were building planes back in the day. They can't drink their own water, they have to have filtration in their water.
yeah,
Everyone in that town has come up with cancer. And like I spent a year in Iraq. I have nodules on my lungs, and I have asthma now for just being in Iraq for a year.
geez.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that because of
similar.
the dust or the?
Yeah, it's the burn pits they call it because they don't have a incineration process. So they burned everything. They burned paper and rubber and poop and whatever you can think of. The
Wow.
same with Jordan. I worked in Jordan for almost a month, and they did not have an incineration either. But Iraq was the worst. I mean, picture going out of your place and walking down the street and just smell poop in the air all the time.
Yeah, gross. Yeah.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah, and there's like a fine. It's almost like when you say, "Is it misting out or is it cloudy out?" You know, when you don't feel like it's a clear day.
Yeah.
That's what it was like there.
That's what India. I went to India a few times and it was like that to me.
Oh,
It
wow,
was just
wow.
thick, and like a weird smell in the air, and like,
Yes. Yeah, third world country. A lot of people don't see those countries that way, but I would say India is probably in the third world country probably category.
yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't been to India, but I'm not in any hurry to go right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave the States right now because of what's going on. You know,
Oh,
I'm a
great.
retired Army colonel. So the higher rank you get, the more kind of cautious you need to be when things are happening a little
Yeah, I
weird.
bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and things are scary right now. Who knows what's going on?
Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen. I know. Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna kick off real soon. I feel like it's just time that something's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, the problem is there's so many starts and stops that people, nobody is like following it anymore, you know?
Yeah, scary times.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, New York City is very scary. I only go there when I have to now. I used to live there, and now like it's very different there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Very good. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you.
you too.
Yes, and yeah, and I'll send you that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll send you the song that they did that's on my website.
Yeah, and keep in touch.
Yes, definitely. All right, good.
Thank
You
you so
take
much. I
care.
appreciate you.
Thank
Thanks.
you. I'm glad we connected. I was like, I don't have a cell phone. I was like, how am I going to find
Well, you
him?
know what? I'll text you that too. So you
Okay.
have it.
All
Yeah.
right, cool. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, take care. All
Bye.
right, bye-bye.